So I'm Allie, this is Matthew, and we're speaking on behalf of Red 4, Castle District.
So our project site, as you can see, is South Great George Street, and we are investigating the theme of tourism. So this site stretches, that's way better. This site stretches from the top of the radial at Dame Street down to the bottom at St. Stephen Street, upper and lower, and from the western portion of Dublin Castle all the way to just past South Great George Street to about Dane Court area. So there's a high number of opportunities in this area. It's heavily trafficked by pedestrians, both tourists and locals. There's a high level of retail, restaurants and shopping, and there's significant Irish and Dublin sites in the area. There's Dublin Gardens, where the original pond that gave Dublin its name now is. Dublin Castle, which is the historic seat of British rule in Ireland, and Chester Beatty Library, which is one of the top museums in Europe. It was actually rated as the top museum in Europe in 2002. Hehowever, though it's exploding with attractive sites from tourists, there's limited access to the Dublin grounds from the eastern side, which heavily stymies its tourism potential. There's also limited awareness of the site and the attractions in it. And for those that do, the castle grounds are not a nice place to stroll through and be as a tourist or a local, filled with parking lots, and so it's quite uninviting. So our service, in reviewing these, we made up a number of design objectives that we're attempting to tackle. So our primary objective is to connect the eastern and western portion of South St. George Street site. So we're attempting to facilitate tourism by doing this, while also making a service that enhances the lives of Dubliners as well. We'd like to tap into the history and culture of the site, and as well attempt to use resources from multiple sources and not just put this on the backs of Dublin City Council. So with that in mind, we are presenting our final concept now, and it is called Castle District. So, a district revitalization plan to connect the Dublin Castle grounds to its surroundings and enhance the visitor experience. Through the provision of knowledge, through information kiosks, community spaces in social hubs, and physical routes, our laneway network, we're hoping to connect visitors to this overlooked area of the city. This project will be reinforced by and catalyze the creation of the Castle District Development Corporation, a multi-stakeholder non-profit organization which will act as both the service provider and promoter of this area of Dublin.
So we created some branding for the area. We've created it, we've given it a name, Castle District, and a logo, as well as some icons for the areas within the district, as you can see here. So that will help with the awareness campaign, as we can use the logo and the icons throughout the city at local businesses, in their windows. We've partnered with the airport, with tourism, and the local business owners. So one of the main components is creating a pathway. So that's indicated in yellow here. It's coming from George's Street, Great South, going towards the castle. The green areas are green spaces we've created, taking away the parking lot and putting a green space there. We've created a lot of pedestrian footpaths as well, which is indicated in blue, while still maintaining a lot of parking. So here's the initial picture of the tunnel to the castle grounds. It's only for cars currently, and what we're planning on doing is creating an area where pedestrians can also travel through. So it's far more inviting, and it's a direct path to the castle grounds. We've also included the branding and the logos. Now here's the parking lot in front of the castle, which is not terribly inviting and not really great for pedestrians to use. So we've created a green space where we'll have hubs, which I'll discuss later. And this is an area where we can have festivals and events. So our hubs, they include our kiosks, which are interactive boards. They'll have seating, they'll have covered areas, lighting, and vendors, possibly restrooms eventually. The digital kiosks are interactive boards. They include Wi-Fi, so there's Wi-Fi currently in a few areas of Dublin, except for this area. So right in front or around the kiosks, there will be Wi-Fi to kind of bridge the gap between the areas. There will be solar paneled. They're touch screens, so a lot of people, anybody can really use it. Next one. And what will be on the screens are, so Discover, Transit, Events, and Share. So the Share folder is kind of, once you click on that, you can kind of see Twitter, restaurant reviews, so it's more interactive. The attractions, you can see that through Events, and you can see the area attractions. We've created a few personas, and the first one is Sarah. She's actually a backpacker. She's 22, and she's in the area by herself, hanging out in Dublin. She looks like she's having a great time. She's in the park currently, just sitting, seeing the sights, having a great time, wearing a red backpack. Now she's headed to the kiosk and the hub to see where different events and attractions are. She's figuring out that, oh, the castle is right around the corner, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go get some food later on, and off I go. She goes. So we have a couple other personas. The next one, it's a retired couple, and they are, the husband is Mona and Frank. Frank realizes, oh, I recognize this Castle District logo from a magazine that I was recently reading. And they walk through the tunnel and continue on their way. They see a bunch of people using this board, and they approach it. They've used touch screens in the past, so they kind of maneuver through it, and they find their way towards the castle. They like taking breaks often, so they eventually get back to the park and have a seat in one of the hubs. And this is Emmett the local. He's coming out of work, he has about an hour for lunch, and he realizes, oh, I can't remember if the arcade is open later this afternoon, so I should probably go now. But what time? I should just check. So he pops by the kiosks and finds that it's actually only open at this time of the day, so he has to run and get some, finish his errands. So once he exits, he realizes, oh no, I don't have a lot of time to get back to work. So he passes through the tunnel, which is excellent for him, and he gets back to work on time.
So here we have our service map. Starting out with the Castle District Development Corporation. So this would be a non-profit corporation to help spread out the service provision responsibilities for this area among different stakeholders, and as well bring together the people needed to kind of make the changes that we're looking for in the area. So it would include members such as the Dublin City Business Improvement District, Dublin City Council, the Irish National Government, since a lot of this territory is theirs, Failte Ireland, that's the Irish Tourism Board, hopefully I pronounced that not too terribly, some of the hotel industry, as well as citizen representatives. And this is to allow to make sure that their interests are also being represented. So this corporation will be responsible for funding the activities to better the economic and social development of this new district. And this funding would come proportionally from these different organizations. But as I will mention later, there are some opportunities to regain some of that back. Although, okay. So as you can see through, so we just detailed some of the different interactions between the different groups as we continue through. And this is just a brief implementation model of about how long it would take, about a year to implement it, as well as our projection for getting revenue back. And so the success of this is that we've opened up a new route of access reflecting desire lines, highlighted and reviewing local businesses, delivering new public space for Dubliners as well as citizens, and bring in multiple stakeholders for long-term sustainable engagement. And we'd like to thank you. This is our team out exploring our area, taking lots of pictures. And thank you very much. And once again, we are presenting Castle District.